Anna. Today I'm continuing my March 2021 Bargain Bead Box series with the Vintage Violet box, and the box is $17.95 a month. You can use the code GGC2 to get $2 off your first box if you would like to subscribe. And this, like I said, is part 3. I made with the beads that came in the box and added some seed beads of my own to it. I have made a bail for this donut bead that comes in the box, and I used the 2x3 crystals that are also in this month's box to make a modified herringbone bail and necklace. So, well, the bail is right angle weave, and then I modify it into herringbone. Now, with this video, it's a little bit more advanced. It was difficult to film as I was trying to do the herringbone and transition things, because of the fact that I had not previously made a pattern for this. I was just winging it and just figuring things out. So hopefully you can follow it well. If not, if you have questions or any issues, just let me know and I will try to clarify that, or maybe if you want me to, I can do another video with another donut bead or something like that. So just let me know. And anyway, yeah, this is what we're going to make. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I have decided to try to make a bail for this donut pendant that came in the box. I'm going to use also the 2x3 Rondell crystal strand that came in the box. I'm going to add to that my own 11/0 seed beads. This is a Toho. It's antique bronze. I'm also going to use some 8-pound Fireline in the smoke color, and I'm going to use a size 10 beading needle. Put onto your beading needle about an arm's length of thread. So measure from your fingertips to your shoulder or your collarbone. That should be more than enough thread for this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start by picking up 4 11/0 seed beads excuse me, onto our needle. This is going to be a very simple right angle weave that we're going to do. So bring the 4 beads down to the end of the thread. Don't worry about leaving a long tail, but do leave enough to hold on to and tie a knot with. Now we're going to go back through the first bead that we put onto the thread, holding onto our beads, our tail, and pull the working thread down until you've pulled it all the way around and you have a little unit of 4 beads that looks like this. Now we're going to sew back through these 4 beads, and when we get to where our tail is, we'll tie a knot. So just go into the bead you're next to, sew through, hold the beads between your thumb and your finger so that as you pull, you can tighten the beads. Once you get to the last bead, before where your tail is, then just pull the thread through. Your working thread and your tail should be right there. Take them and tie them into a knot, making sure that the knot goes down between the beads. And then tie another one. Pull it extremely tight because you want this to have a nice tight closure so that as we build our bail, we can connect back to this first unit and it won't slip out. Now we have our thread coming out right between these 2 beads right here, and we're going to sew into the bead right next to where we're coming out, and then we're going to sew into the bead after that. So right here. Now your tail should be towards the top of your unit and the working thread to the bottom, just like this. Now I'm going to pick up 3 more beads and we're going to make 6 units, just like this one. Since we have the fourth one that we're going to share, we only need to pick up 3. So then we're going to go into the opposite side of the bead that we're coming out of and pull these 3 beads down. Hold them between your finger and your thumb so that you can get nice tension. Turn them and then sew back through them. So I'm coming out of this one, I'm going to sew up through this one. I'm going to hold on to them just so that they don't pull all out of shape, and then I will, as I pass through that bead, I'll tug on the thread and tighten them. And I'll do the same all the way around until I get to the bead that I connected to. Right here. It's like this. And smoke fire line turns your fingers all black, so no, my hands aren't dirty. Well, they weren't. Now they are. Anyway, we're coming out of this connecting bead. Let's go into this one and then go up into this one. And now we're up into this one here, and we can begin our next unit. So we pick up 3 beads onto our needle and go into the opposite side of the bead we're coming out of, just like this, and pull these beads down. And then we'll sew through all of the beads again, just like we did in the previous unit. Hold on to them and give a nice tug. This way you can get really good tension. This needs to be nice and tight and neat, not loose and sloppy. So just keep a good tension on your beads. Now I am to where I can go back into my connecting bead. And then I will sew down into this bead and this bead so that I can start my next unit. I will make 3 more units just like this, and we'll be back. So continue. 3 more units. So I have made my 6 units. Now we're going to make 3 units with some rondelles in them. So I'm coming out of this bead right here. Instead of picking up 3 11-0 seed beads, I'm going to pick up a rondelle, and then a seed bead, and then a rondelle. And then I'm going to go into the other side of the 11-0 from which I am exiting. Just like this. Now we're going to sew back through this unit to secure it. So go through the crystal, the 11-0, the crystal, just pulled it right across the room here, and then into the connecting 11-0, just like we've been doing, except for now we're using a couple crystals. Once we get to the connecting bead, then we have to sew over to this 11-0. So we're going to sew through this crystal and into the 11-0 right here. And now we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to do 3 units just like this. So I'm picking up my darker crystal and then a lighter crystal on the other side, since this is a variation of colors in here. So I'm going to pick up a crystal, an 11-0, and a crystal. And these crystals kind of differ in size, but it doesn't truly matter. And I'm going to pull this down, and then I'm going to sew back through. My tail out of there. So sew back through all of them, making sure to have nice tension. And then I will sew through the crystal and the 11-0 and begin another unit. So then pick up a rondelle crystal, an 11-0, and a rondelle crystal, and go into the 11-0 on the opposite side from which you're exiting. Sew back through the 3 beads you just added, one at a time, because that helps retain the shape that we want. Once you get to the connecting bead, go through it and then sew back to the top bead by going through the crystal and the 11-0. Now we're going to do one more unit with just the 11-0 seed beads. So we're going to pick up 3 11-0 seed beads, go into the opposite side of the 11-0 we're coming out of, and pull them down like this. Sew back through them. Once you get to the connecting bead, then of course you'll have to sew back down to this bead. So go through the connecting bead, then go through this 11-0 and this one. And this is what your piece should look like so far. Take your scissors and cut your tail down, just like that. And then grab your donut bead and push the side with all of the 11 O's through the donut hole, like this. You want to center the crystals that we put right on the middle. Make sure you pick a good side of the donut. One side of my donut's kind of chipped up, not quite as pretty as the other. So look at what side you want to be your front and center the crystals on that side. And then your beads, if you're holding them correctly, if I can hold them in my fingers, your beads should end right at the very top of the donut, like this. Now, we're going to connect this unit with this unit. So we're going to pick up an 11-0 seed bead, and we're going to go into this top 11-0 on this unit on the outside. Make sure you're going into the top 11-0, and then just pull this tight. Should draw your beads up nice and tight around the donut. Now, if you're using smaller 11-0 seed beads than I am, you may have to make one more unit than I did. Now, we're going to pick up another 11-0. We've put this one on, we're coming out of this one, we're going to go back into this one from which we started on the opposite side we started in, just like this. And this is going to connect this unit together, just like that. Now we're going to sew back through this, all 4 of these beads in this unit we just created. So we're going to go through this one, and as you pull through, you can tighten your thread. And then go into this one here. My hands are in a really weird position. Here. Into this one here. And they're loose right now, but they won't be. Then back into this one here. And then you can sew through one more time just to make sure everything is nice and secure. So go through all 4 of those beads again. And this is what you should have. Now, it moves a little bit, so I could have even gone maybe a little tighter, but I don't know if I could have drawn them together had I gotten smaller. Anyway, now what we're going to do is we're going to build something up here that we can connect to. So let me think on that for a second. I'll be right back. So let's try this. Pick up an 11-0 seed bead, and then a crystal, and then another crystal, and an 11-0 seed bead. You're coming out of this 11-0 that's sideways here. We're going to skip over into this 11-0 here. And pull that down. Now, we're going to pick up, let's see, how do I want to do this? We're going to pick up an 11-0 and 2 crystals again, and an 11-0, and we're going to go back across into the 11-0 we're coming out of on the opposite side. So let me get you really close. So here I am. I'm coming out of this 11-0 here. This one is the one that my thread is attached to from the other side. See that? So I'm coming out of this one right here. I'm going to go back into this one and back up the 2 beads on this side. So I'm going through the 11-0 and then I'll pass through the crystal. Now I'm going to go up through this crystal right here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to pick up two 11-0 seed beads. We're going to go down just through this crystal on this side. I feel shaded or too close or something here, but I want you to see. So we're going to go down through this crystal on this side, pull this down, and then we're going to turn our piece. We're going to go up through this crystal on this side right here, just the crystal, tighten your thread. Now pick up two 11-0 seed beads, go down into the crystal next to the one you're coming out of. So go down into it, just like that. Now you're going to cross over and go into the crystal on this side. So your thread is coming out of the bottom crystal here. You want to go down through this crystal and then up through the 11-0 on top of it. Just like this. And this is what we have. We're kind of starting a herringbone, a tubular herringbone. So we're going to do that a little ways, and then I'll figure out a way to split it in half and make it go from side to side so we can make a necklace. So right now I'm just kind of concentrating on making a bail and see if I can figure out some way to, let's see. So let's do a couple more 11-0 seed beads here. So pick up two 11-0 seed beads, go down into the 11-0 next to the one you're coming out of, and just that 11-0. And pull that down. Turn your piece, cross over into the 11-0, go underneath it and up through it on this side. That will connect the side together. And then pick up two 11-0 seed beads, come down through this 11-0 on this side, straight down into it, pull your two beads down, and then we're going to turn our piece, and this time we have to go up two 11-0 seed beads. So go straight across into the bead directly across from the one you're coming out of, and go up two beads. And this is what you should have so far. And let me think on this for a second again, and then we'll go a little further. Okay, so let's try this. We're coming out of this 11-0 seed bead right here. Pick up two 11-0 seed beads, and instead of crossing over and going into this bead here, you're going to cross over into the bead behind this one. So instead of going here, you're going to go here. So go into this bead right here, and just the 11-0, like this. We get you really close. And then pull your thread through. And then cross over into the bead underneath the two you just put on. So right across from where you're coming out. Directly across, go up through the bottom of that bead and the bead on top of it. Well, come here, bead. There we go. And then I'm going to pick up, I'm going to leave this side, I'll probably tie back onto it so I can build it too, but I want to just kind of build sideways and see what happens here. So I'm going to pick up two 11-0 seed beads. I'm coming out of this one. I'm going to cross over and go into this one and pull it down, and then go into the bead directly across from where I'm coming out. And I think I can build a necklace out this way with herringbone coming sideways, and then on this side I'll tie on and build herringbone coming out this way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue just working on this side, and I can, in a few stitches, I can put in some of my little rondelle beads too. So I'm going to just resume where I was at. I'm going to turn this sideways, and I'm just going to go from this bead into this one. Straighten those beads out so they lay on top. Cross directly over. So I'm coming out here in the bottom of this bead. I'm going to cross directly over and go up 2 beads on this side. Just make sure you go up the 2 on this side. Go down 1 and up 2. Oh, come along, bead. Sorry, guys. There we go. And so I'm building herringbone just kind of sideways. I'm going to split it in half and have one go that way and one go this way. So I'm just going to continue going, and I'm just going to pick up 2 11-0 seed beads, go down into the one next to the one I'm coming out of, and pull these down, cross over into the bead next to the one that I'm coming out of, and go up 2, and just continue doing that. Do it a couple more times just so you can get the hang of it. Pick up 2, go down, cross over and go down 1, lay them out and pull them tight down there. Come along, little beady. This is kind of awkward to hold on to. Once I get it a little longer, it'll be a lot easier. Then I'm going to cross over and go up 2. Oh, there's got to be a better way to hold this. Here we go. There we go. So now that it's longer, I can hold on to it just like this. So we'll, coming out of this bead, cross over, pick up 2, cross over, go down 1 bead, cross over directly next to where you're coming out of, and come up 2. So now you can see I can actually move along pretty well now that I have a good grip on this. Down 1 bead, cross over, up 2. Then wherever you want to, you can pick up 2 rondelles. Let's see how that looks. That might be too fat. Well, come here, rondelle. Let's see what happens. Lay them out. If you can. They might be too big. That might not work. Let me see. But they will. Then cross over and come up 2 on this side. So you come up the 11-0 and the rondelle. And it's a little awkward. Just like that. Pull that down. And then you can continue with 11-0s. So you can do that how often you want, wherever you want. You don't have to do it like I'm doing it. Just cross over. And I'm going to go down 2 this time, simply to secure that rondelle a little better. Cross directly over, and then I'll have to go up 3 on this side, just to secure that a little more. And then I can just continue doing my herringbone on this side of the necklace until I get to a point to where I think that I'm satisfied, or I can add a piece of chain or something, and then I will tie on over here and do the same thing, and I'll show you how to do that. But right now, just continue making some herringbone on this side. I'll come back and show you what I have ended with and what I am doing exactly, how to do this side, and we'll make a really pretty little necklace. Okay, so as you can see, I have finished this side, and I'll show you how to put the clasp on this side once I show you how to tie on and get started on your herringbone, and then I will come back and show you how to do the clasping. But this is the clasp I'm using. It came in the box, and the way you use this is you will have this end and you will go into your clasp right here like this. There's 2 holes on either side, and then you push that in, and that's your clasp. So I will attach this side after I have finished making that side. But what I did was I did 7 units of herringbone and then a unit with crystals like I showed you, and then 7 units and a unit of crystals, and I just repeated that until I had about 9 inches of my herringbone, because I want to make an 18 to 20 inch necklace. So if I put this right here, you can see that I've made it with my clasping almost 10 inches long. There's 9 inches of herringbone, and then with the clasping it gives me a little bit more room. So I have an 18 to 20 inch necklace when I'm finished, and you can make it any length you want. So what we're going to do now is we're going to tie on to this side so that we can begin the herringbone in the unit that we left, that we made previous to this unit that we continued our herringbone in. So we have 1 unit right here ready to go. I'm going to turn this over. Now you will need to extend your fire line, because I told you an arm's length in the beginning, because I didn't know what I was going to do, but you will need to extend it. Now with this one I've put a much longer length, about a wingspan, but I may need to extend even that. But right now we are going to concentrate on getting a piece of thread. So thread a nice long piece of thread onto your needle and turn your unit over, and then right between these units of right angle weave we're going to tie on, sew around the units, and then tie again. So I'm going to go underneath this bead right here. So I'm choosing between this bead and this bead, grabbing the piece of thread between it. So I'm just going up under that piece of thread. I'm pulling my thread on my needle all the way through until I get close to the end here, and then I'm going to tie a knot. So right here I'm just going to tie an overhand knot. Just like that, and then I'm going to tie another one. If I can organize my hands, I will. Just like that. And now I have a little piece of thread tied on right there, but I want to secure it by entwining it through the bead. So I'm going to sew through this entire unit that I tied onto. So I'll go up into this bead, pull all my thread through, and then I'll go into this bead, then I'll go down into this bead. So I'm just sewing around this unit that I've tied onto, go into this bead, and then into this one, my thread is getting caught on all the stuff on my desk because when I'm designing I make a mess. And then I'll go up into this bead here, get my tail out of there, and then I'm going to cut this little tail off. I'm just going to cut it somewhat off, and then I'll burn that down so that at this point it's just not in my way. Then I'm going to go up here into this bead right here. So I've sewed around this entire unit of right angle weave, and I'm just going to go up into this bead, and then I'll go up into the next unit of right angle weave. So right above it, these 4 beads here, I'll sew this way, and then I'll sew into this one. And now underneath, we have to go into this bead here that we started in. So I'm just going to go through that bead right here. Just follow your thread path the best you possibly can. You don't have to do it exactly like I'm doing it, but try not to cross your intersections of beads. Try to go with your original thread path. Now I can go right, so I'm into this connecting bead right here. I can go right straight up into all of these beads on this side, the 4 beads, and be in my herringbone that I need to continue my herringbone in. So now if I hold it up, you can see I have a bead here and a bead here. So I pick up 2 beads, just like this, and then I'm going to go down into this bead right here. So straight across, pull this down, and now you can see I've started my herringbone. I'm going to cross over directly into the bead right next to where I'm coming out and go up 2 beads. And I will just continue that. Pick up 2 beads onto my needle. Coming out of this bead, I'm going to go down into this bead. So just cross directly over, and then I'll cross directly back, so I go up 2 beads on this side. And pull them very tightly so that they're nice and neat. And then I'll just continue my herringbone. So cross directly over. Make sure your beads lay out nice. And as you get going, you can hold on to it better and it won't be quite as clumsy. I always feel really clumsy when I'm designing on the fly here, and I just hope that it comes across well. Now if you feel like you need to, because these beads, the way we've attached, you may need to sew down like 3 or 4 on this side just to attach them nicer, and then sew back exactly the same amount, cross directly over, sew up the same amount on this side, and this will give you a little bit firmer stitch to work with from this point on. You don't have to do that again. All you have to do now is continue your herringbone. And then where you put crystals on the other side, do that again. So I'll just continue doing my herringbone. Now I came out 3, so I have to go up 3. And when I get to the point to where I need to put my crystals on, I'll put my crystals on, and I'll do this side. And I hope I was in frame so you can see me. Let's see. Let's do one more just in case. So it's just the same thing that I've been doing all along. I'm picking up 2 beads. I'm going to hold it this way now so you can see it really well. I'm going to cross over 1, pull these 2 beads down, then cross directly over and go up 2 on this side. And I'll just continue. When I get to where I want to put my crystals on, I do it exactly how I showed you on the other side. I just pick up 2 crystals instead of 2 11-0s and put my crystals in. And as I sew up through my crystals, well heck, let's just go ahead and get to that point. So I need 3 more units, I believe. Let me see if I can get this straight here. 2 more units. So let me do 2, and then I'll do a set of crystals just to make sure we know exactly what we're doing here. cross over, go up 2, and I'm going to have to go up 1 and then the other because it's laying funny. There we go. Then I'll go up into this one. And then I'll pick up 2 more, cross over, go into 1, pull my beads down, cross over directly where your thread is coming out, and then up 2. And now I should be where I need to put my crystals on. Let me make sure. Yeah. So you can just look at your, put them side by side and look at them, or just count the units. That would be a simple way too. And then pick up 2 crystals. So I used light crystals on this one, so I'll pick up 2 lighter colored crystals for this side. Cross over into the bead next to the one I'm coming out of, right here. Pull them down. Now with these, you have to line them up. Once you get more herringbone established, it goes a little easier with the crystals. Line them up, make sure they lay with the holes up, just like this. And then cross over and go up the 11-0 directly across from where you're coming out and up through the crystal. Pull that tight, pick up 2 11-0s, cross over, go into the crystal and the 11-0 underneath it, so that you can really get this quite well established in there. So we're going to go down through 2 beads, and then we'll go up through 3. So we're going to cross directly over into this 11-0 next to the one we're coming out of right here, and then we'll go up through that 11-0, the crystal, and the 11-0 on top. Just like that. And then we can begin the herringbone again. And like I said, I've done 7 units in between each set of crystals. So that's my first unit there. This is my second. Lay those beads out, cross over, go up into the 11-0 and the 11-0 above it, pull tight, and just continue doing your herringbone until you've done 7 units. Then place 2 more crystals and continue doing that until you have the length that you desire. When you have done that, we'll come back and we'll put on this side of the clasping so that you know how to put the clasping on. You'll sew it on exactly the same way on either side. Okay, so now you can see that I have finished the second half of my necklace with my herringbone and my crystals, and I just tried to put the same colors that I put on this side in the same places. You don't have to do that. You can just have them random. It doesn't matter. But I have finished, and on this side I finished by putting a set of crystals, and then, let me get you close. I put a set of crystals and then a set of herringbone like I have on this side here, and now I'm going to put on my clasping. So once you have finished your set of 7, if you're doing 7 like me, and then you put your crystals in, do 1 more set of herringbone over the top, go through the bottom 11-0s and secure it just like I showed you with the other crystal sets. And then you're going to pick up an 11-0, and then I used a dark crystal, so let me get one of the darker purple crystals. And then, well, let me see, I got to find it. Running out of colors here. So then I pick up an 11-0, a crystal, an 11-0, and I drop this down to my herringbone. Let me get some of this out of the way here. And then I'm going to pick up the other half of my clasp and go through the loop on the bottom here. Then I'm going to go through just the 11-0 and the crystal here. Get you closer, just like this. And I'm going to hold on to it and pull my thread through. And then I'm going to pick up an 11-0. And I'm going to go into this 11-0, this crystal, and this 11-0 underneath it. Right here. And pull this down. And now you can see I have my clasping on there. So I'm going to go to secure it. I'm going to cross directly over into the 11-0 next to the one I'm coming out of and go up through it. And the crystal above it, and the two 11-0s above that, just like this. And then I'm going to go up into the crystal, into the 11-0 above the crystal, and back into my clasping, just like this. Then back down, I'm going around the clasping, into the 11-0, the crystal, and the two 11-0s, the crystal underneath the two 11-0s, and the 11-0 underneath that. And pull it together. Now I'm going to do it one more time, but I think I'm going to include the set of 11-0s underneath the set I'm coming out of, just so I don't get a bunch of thread here and a division between my beads. So I'm going to go down one more 11-0, cross over into the 11-0 right across from that one, and go back up again. Then I'll go into the crystal and the 11-0. If you want to use a wire guardian here, you could do that too. Instead of putting a crystal and 11-0, you could put a wire guardian on right there. That's fine too. Then go up through the clasp and back down. And here, I'm just going under one of the 11-0s. And, well, yeah, I'm going to tie a knot right here. So I'm just going to go through my beads, just like this. And tie a knot and pull it between the two beads. Then go back down into the bead underneath the one. Oops, let's get back here. So I just tied a knot right between these two beads. We're going to go down into a couple more beads here. Doesn't matter how many you go through. Just go through some. And then here, tie another knot. And this is how you'll do the clasping on the other end too. Since we're working with two separate threads, you have to tie off both ends, of course, after you put your clasping on. So, if I can get a hold of my needle here, I'm going to pull a knot down and then sew down through some more beads just to straighten everything out. Just like that. I can cross over into these crystals here and come back up through. You can tie another knot if you'd like, or you can just go ahead and cut it off. And I'm just going to go ahead and cut it off. You can use your thread burner if you'd like. Now let me make sure, I don't use these clasps often, so let me make sure that I'm going to get some turns so I can actually do this correctly. Now I can just grab my clasp. You can see these two little holes on top here. I'm going to put the clasp through those two little holes, and then I'm going to push it together until it locks. And that is the clasping for this necklace. Now, this herringbone is going to twist a little bit. It's not going to lay straight exactly, but it doesn't matter. It's designed to where it can turn and it can do whatever. Just make sure it's not terribly twisted on your neck, but it should be fine. It'll look just fine on your neck. And that's what this looks like. Let me see if I can clear a spot and just kind of show you what the necklace looks like. If I can here. I think that looks pretty, and it turned out really nice. So that's what this looks like. And that is another nice little project you can make with this box. Now, of course, if you can't figure out how I did the herringbone started up here, you can just do your right angle weave like I showed you, and then go through a couple of top beads, put another unit of right angle weave, and just from the right angle weave work one way and the other, and just continue right angle weave. Or you can just get your beading chain, or not beading chain. Well, yeah, beading chain would work. Or you can get your beading wire, like Beadle-On or Softflex or something, run it underneath the bail that you made, put some beads on, and just string it. You can do a lot. All you have to do is have this bail, this circle that we made with the right angle weave, to have something to hold on to the bead or the pendant. So you can use this without having to do all this if you don't want to. It still will work out pretty. These are just techniques and springboards for your own creativity. So do what you feel like you want to do with it, and you can make a really pretty necklace that way.